Hey. Hi, guys. Welcome back. All right. So, first off, these specific messages that I do, these are the ones where I leave the comments on. If you guys would like to type the word heal in the comments, gets you entered to win for next Monday. Every Monday, I go through the comments and I randomly select someone and I do a storytelling for them. So, this Monday, our winner is Jay Ginger Rich. And so, Jay, your storytelling is right there in the description box. There is a free link there where you can watch that. Anybody can watch it, of course, but just know it is a storytelling for Jay Gingerich. So yeah, if you guys would like to enter to win for next Monday, just know anytime I put out these specific messages, I'll always, give you the heads up that the comments are on and just type the word heal in it. And so I definitely post at least one per week even if there's only one that comes to mind on a Monday, but you'll always have at least one chance, usually about two. We usually do about two of these specific messages per week. And specific messages occur when something comes to my mind that is in my head. And so the thought process today was, it's so weird and so simple, but somebody had like a bucket full of water. It was specifically a bucket. It seemed like a plastic one, not like an old fashioned like metal one, but more like a plastic bucket. I don't know if this is somebody who was like scooping, like whatever. If you have like something, a drain gets plugged or something, and you're like, well, I've got to scoop the water out and dump it, down the sink or whatever. I don't know what the bucket was for. If it was to catch a drip or a leak, I don't know if it was even to catch water. It could have been somebody changing their oil, and maybe it's an oil pan, not a bucket. I don't know. Maybe somebody works at a factory and they fill paint cans or something. It was a bucket that had liquid in it. So to me, that's either to bail out or maybe to catch something. We'll keep that in mind and we'll see where that takes us. Oh, by the way, members, I'll see you guys in the members corner a little bit later on tonight. Just so you guys know, I've had a bad air flare up again of asthma. So today I've been pretty much down for the count. So I'm not doing a whole lot today. It kind of came on a little bit yesterday, and I should have known that that's what I was headed for. But in any case, forgive me in advance if I do any coughing. It's kind of smoothing out tonight, but I'm still going to kind of take breaks here and there. So, but members, I will still see you tonight. Okay, sorry to keep you guys waiting a bit. We have a Three of Cups. Three of Cups is about the relationship of partying, going out. Okay, maybe somebody drinks too much and they got to puke in a bucket. Sorry for the visual, but that makes me think, because the word puke bucket comes to mind. So sorry about that. I try to be as honest as I can be with the stuff that pops into my head. Also, I'm getting somebody who really likes neon lights. I don't know if they like the movie Tron or something. Oh, there's something about like, the neon lights of kind of like even the neon colors of the 1980s, those like really bright leotards and like exercise programs, where they wear like the banana yellow, screaming neon yellow, like tights with, iridescent blue, outfits and like hot pink leg warmers and such. I don't know. I'm just getting kind of really bright colors, but definitely with like an 80s flavor. I don't know if somebody's having an 80s inspired party. We got all the chicks over here, and then we got kind of like, well, it's a mixed party. It's a mixed group here, but for some reason I was going to say like the bros over here and the gals over here. I'm not sure if we have two different groups of different friends or if this is two different lifestyles or somebody who's wearing two different distinct like personas. I go out and I drink and I party, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? But then I also go to confession on Sunday and be like, I partied too much. Now I'm going to spend Sunday with my church and we're going to do some stuff that's really spiritual. But then I also still have to cut loose and have a whole bunch of fun with my other friends. It could be somebody living two lives. And that's not to mean that they are pretending to be two different people. It could just be like, look, my church friends, I don't go out and party with until 3 a.m. and dance with. They don't like that kind of music, but I do. But I also am spiritual and I also have a belief and I also like to, connect and do community efforts and such. I feel like this could be somebody who simply is comfortable in two different, seemingly opposing like lifestyle choices. And I don't really see why those two would have to be different lifestyle choices, period. I don't believe in extremism though in any way. I think it's more like understandable that characters would be like, yeah, I love to dance, I like music, cuss words, I like all that, and yeah, I still have a belief system and I still, give back to the community, and I believe in that too. I could see how a character can be both of those things and navigate both worlds with ease. We have a Six of Pentacles in the reverse though, and we have the Temperance in the reverse. The thing is, it's not working out right now. We either have discord in one person saying, I feel guilt, or I feel like I can't do both, or we have groups saying, we don't accept you. If you do this or if you do that, you're going to have to pick which side you're on. This just says there is not true cooperation. There is not harmony all of a sudden. And with that Eight of Wands, I don't know if somebody comes and tattles and says, psst, 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 did you hear they do this? I don't know if this is like somebody comes and like explains what their hidden life is, and now it's like, oh man, I'm gonna be in trouble for Eight of Pentacles in the reverse. No, that's not what it is. It's that a character is trying to decide actually what works for them. It's not that they're about to get outed. It's more like a character themselves is saying, you know what, I don't feel like this is super harmonious for me to walk in both worlds. Maybe this is a character who's like, you know what, honestly, my party days, I don't like being up till 3. I don't really enjoy that anymore. I'm realizing that I prefer like daytime activities. Maybe I'm leaning more towards spiritualism. I don't know. It just feels like a character is saying, I'm getting more joy out of one lifestyle than the other now. And so if I'm still participating in a lifestyle that doesn't really suit me, it's eating up my time for the side of my life that does suit me better. At different phases in our life, we get more enjoyment out of different things. At one point we're like, I don't want to spend a ton of time, hanging out with, like my family, because I just want to go out with friends. And then at different points in time, it's like, hey, my family is aging. I want to spend more time with them than go out and party with friends. I could see that change happening for a character too, but it does seem like it's on our characters' side. Like they're the ones making these choices. It's not that they're being ostracized or shamed or told what they can and can't do. We have a Four of Cups though and a Page of Cups. Why does our character seem to feel shame? It's like they're heaping it on themselves. Oh, I have so many regrets. Oh, I need to say sorry. Who do you feel you need to say sorry to? I don't get it. Queen of Wands, Ace of Swords. I don't know if this is somebody who feels like I don't know. Are they shaming themselves? So this person has no clothes on right now, right? And maybe they're like, oh, I wish I hadn't have lived that wild life. I wish I hadn't have ever, felt so wild and free in my own physique that, whatever, I was an artist model, I pose nude or whatever. I don't know. I'm not a big believer in shaming people. Like, we all have a human body. Guess what? We take off our clothes and we all got the same bits and pieces and we're all naked under our clothes. So I just don't really see the big deal about nudity, or I certainly don't attach any kind of shame to it whatsoever. So to me, this is kind of like, this feels like a big nothing burger to me, but that's just me saying, I don't get why this character is shaming her own self. This does look like a feminine who's shaming herself, imagining she's done something that she's not proud of now. And it's like, now I know that was wrong. And I would just kind of be like, why? I'm sorry. That's just my opinion though. Like, I don't really see maybe she felt arrogant or something, or felt too prideful or whatever. Again, I don't know. I mean, it's great to have a conscience. And if we don't like the way we behaved, then by all means, we can make those changes. But I'm not super big on, this concept that, oh my, I should be so ashamed of my entire life experiences. So I don't know. This feels a little bit too extreme for my taste. 9 of Pentacles, 4 of Wands, 10 of Wands. In this case, we have a feminine who is maybe, it almost feels so over the top. Like she's almost saying, yeah, but what if what if my sordid past impacts me getting married? And I would argue somebody who's going to judge to such an extent, I'm not sure they'd be your person anyway. She seems to be real judgy for herself. About what, I don't know. I guess because she went out and danced a lot. I don't really see the big shame or embarrassment, but it seems like she's heaping it on herself, saying, will I be able to be seen by a partner as, like, you know, someone that they'd be proud of? It's like she's wanting to find that out so she can lay down the stress of all this. Who's putting all this guilt onto you? Knight of Pentacles, Two of Pentacles. I feel like there's either been somebody who's been chipping away at her, and this could be a him as well. I don't know why, but it just feels like somebody has been consistently, like, feeding our character lines about, were you really walking the straight and narrow path? Shouldn't you be ashamed? Shouldn't you have done this different, done that different? Here's what I always think. I think if we're expressing ourselves and still respecting ourselves, we're not doing it because we're self-destructive. And if we're not going out there and trying to harm other people, then I'm not really sure what we have to feel so guilty about, because I don't know. I don't understand who this character is who keeps sending in the guilt factor. And they don't even have a face on, so we don't know what their background was about. You notice that I would never take advice from somebody with a mask on. That's for sure. I would never listen to somebody who doesn't show their own face, and somehow has all this supposed wisdom to impart. But it's like, are you talking about yourself here? Or I don't know. It just feels like there's something here that doesn't smell right to me. And it seems to be getting in our character's head a bit. We get the Seven of Pentacles in the reverse. Well, all I can say is that it hit its mark. And maybe this is great. Maybe this is something that drip by drip, maybe that's what the bucket was about. Drip by drip, somebody's, like, words or advice has hit and has given them a perspective. And maybe this isn't about guilt exactly. Maybe this has been helpful. I've been worried all this time, this is a character like totally judging themselves and, kind of trashing themselves and feeling guilty about, like, everything in their life. But maybe that's not the case. Maybe it's that drip by drip, somebody has been saying things that made them stop and think, have I been living the life that I'm proud of? Have I been doing things that I actually, like, really care about? Maybe because it does feel like a character is thinking more about balance now. So maybe it hasn't been out of judgment exactly and shame. The reason I went down that road is because with the Four of Cups and the Page of Cups, it made me think that this character has been, like, guilted and shamed and made to feel really bad. But maybe that's not it. Maybe I've been totally, like, fretting over this character for no reason. Maybe it's that they are having the awakening that they needed to have, which is maybe I was out partying a bit too much because I was running from stuff, and maybe there's another way to cope. Maybe that was a cope mechanism instead of me doing things I actually enjoyed. Maybe I feel greater peace, doing things with a community that doesn't involve, like, partying or drinking or something. Or the only reason I'm saying partying, drinking is, I mean, right now we just have them dancing, listening to music, right? But we do see nightclub. And so maybe they were trying to find meaning or purpose in their life when it turns out they've discovered that there's more meaning and purpose in, like, actively participating in other things and using their talents and gifts and focusing on building long-lasting relationships instead of short-term fun moments. And they're like, man, I wish I had thought of it that way before. It just feels like our character does have regrets, and we all do to a certain extent. But as long as they're not, like, guilting and shaming and saying, oh, I was this terrible person, this and that, I kind of think this character is finding their balance. So whatever is right for them, right? I always, like, try to play devil's advocate and ask better questions in these stories so that we can understand a character and figure out, how they feel to the greatest extent I can, while I'm always still, like, advocating for our characters to be like, if you're not out hurting others, You do have a right to be you. You know, that's always the thing I'm kind of looking for. Is like, why do you feel this way, or why did you do what you did? And I kind of think this character is, at this point, it feels like they're addressing their own actions, and they're saying what they liked and didn't like, and what has given them a coping mechanism versus something that now they're realizing is much more soothing, healing, much more validating, is sorry guys, is to simply like live their life and do things that matter more to them. We have the Lovers and we have the Six of Cups. I feel like someone is changing over from a more party lifestyle to a more family oriented. They're thinking more about lovers that they've had versus like some of those lovers were never going to be more than enjoyable, but not really the ones that they ever could have seen themselves staying with. And that's the difference in how they look at it now. And maybe they have some regrets about like, well, thinking back, some of those people were just attractive, but they didn't have the quality of relationship or emotions for me that I want to have in a partner that is going to be long term. So sometimes, yes, I wish I hadn't, had a couple nights with a few of the people I maybe chose as partners in the past or dated in the past because I really knew that they weren't long term. Look, hindsight is always amazing, right? This doesn't feel like a character, though, who's being ostracized by a community or a group. And it doesn't actually, now that we've gotten further into the story, it doesn't feel like a character who's like sitting there going, oh my God, I'm a terrible person. This is more somebody who's just saying, one drop at a time, I've started to realize I lean and gravitate more toward what really fulfills me is the idea of long-term soulmates, working toward things that create a greater foundation. I'm not really just about the nightlife. I'm not really just about fun. I'm not really just about YOLO, you only live once. And I'm not really just about saying that, having a great time for 3.5 or 4 hours is enough to say I'm having a great life. I actually want even the difficulties that come with building something, long-term relationships, long-term romances. I want to be somebody that's developing myself instead of just having moments that I say, those were some good times. I kind of think, honestly, this might just be a character who has grown up. They had some, like they sowed their wild oats, but they're like, I kind of wish that I could go back and take back a few of the names in my little black book. Because honestly, they weren't the people that I could ever see me dating now that I've matured, now that I see myself differently. I wish a few of them hadn't seen me in my birthday suit. I wish, it does feel like she might even be dressing a little differently, something that's like, I want to, this could be a feminine who at one point was like, I've got a great bod and I know I do. And I love it when people, love my great bod and compliment me on it. Now she's like, actually, I'd rather they compliment my intellect. I'd rather they compliment, well, we see her here. And it's like, I'd rather people know me not as the prettiest person in the room, even though she's drop dead gorgeous, but I want them to know that I'm the Knight of Pentacles person. You can still say I'm beautiful. That's a great compliment. But man, I'd rather have people know me for my accomplishments than for my, stunning beauty. She is, it just says, it doesn't matter how attractive she is. That's not what she thinks of as her greatest asset. And I'm not saying that she was ever shallow and said that was her greatest asset, but I think she might have dated people who wanted her more for her looks. And she's like, that right there should have been a disqualifier because I really want somebody who doesn't just love my bod, but is impressed by, kind of the way I live my life. And I think all that brought her to asking herself, how am I living my life? Am I thrilled with this? So it just kind of feels like a character who's got a lot of self-worth and who has matured into like somebody who is like lived some experiences enough to learn and ask themselves, who am I? I'm Jean Valjean. Sorry, lovely Ms. But this actually looks really positive. It looks like somebody who really knows who they are now. All right. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for giving it a thumbs up. Bye.